तेज भाग बाबू, नहीं तो अगर उस चूहे ने तुम्हें काट लिया तो तुम्हें 4-4 इंजेक्शन लगवाना पड़ेगा। क्या? नहीं, मैं इंजेक्शन नहीं लगवाऊंगा, भागो। मम्मी चलो उस रंग से भरे पूल में घुस जाते हैं, चूहा हमें वहाँ नहीं काट पाएगा। अरे मुझे रंग लग जाएगा, मैं नहीं जाऊंगी उस पूल में। अरे चलो, नहीं तो चूहा काट लेगा और इंजेक्शन लगवाना पड़ेगा। ठीक है तो चलो। अरे चिंटू वो देखो, मम्मी और बाबू इधर ही भागते हुए आ रहे हैं। आने दो उन दोनों को, हम उन्हें रंगों से नहला देंगे इस पिचकारी से और खूब होली खेलेंगे उनके साथ। हाँ बहुत मजा आएगा चिंटू, मैं मम्मी को खूब रंग लगाऊंगी। अब तू भी इसमें आ जा बाबू। हाँ आता हूँ। अरे मम्मी और बाबू, तुम दोनों पूल में क्यों घुस गए? आकर हमारे साथ होली खेलो ना। अरे वहाँ देख, एक मोटा चूहा हमारे पीछे पड़ा हुआ है। ओहो कितना प्यारा चूहा है और तुम दोनों इससे डर रहे हो। अरे वो देखने में ही प्यारा है लेकिन वो बहुत ही खतरनाक है। तुम दोनों इस छोटे से चूहे से डर गए। अरे मेरा नाक काट लिया चूहा। बोला था कि वो खतरनाक चूहा है लेकिन तू माना नहीं। अरे चिंकिया बचा ले रे मुझे, इस चूहे को जल्दी हटा दे, नहीं अगर मैंने चूहे को पकड़ा तो वो मुझे भी काट लेगा। अरे दादा बहुत तेज काट रहा है, बचाओ मम्मी। अरे और जोर से खींच उसे। हाँ जल्दी खींच उसे, नहीं तो तुम्हारा नाक ही खा जाएगा। नहीं नहीं खींचता हूँ। या अब फेंक दे उसे दूर। ये ले, अब तुम दोनों भी जल्दी आ जाओ इस पूल में भाग चिंकिया। देखो वो चूहा फिर से यहाँ आ रहा है। आने दो, वो इस पूल में नहीं आ सकता। अरे मोरी मैया, ये तो कई चूहों को बुला लाया। अरे मम्मी, लगता है अब हम सबका नाक ये चूहे खा जाएंगे। चुप कर, मनहूस बात करता है। अरे ये तो चारों तरफ से घेर लिए हैं हमें। डरो मत, ये सब इस पानी में नहीं आ सकते हैं। अरे होली खेल के तो बड़ा मजा आ रहा है। अरे तुम सब उस पूल में क्या कर रहे हो? आकर यहाँ डीजे पर नाचो। अरे यहाँ से जल्दी भाग जाओ पापा। अरे अरे मैं क्यों भागूं, मैं तो होली खेलूंगा आज। अरे पापा अपने नीचे देखो कितने सारे चूहे हैं। अरे ये तो छोटे छोटे चूहे हैं, इनसे क्या डरना। अरे वो देखने में ही छोटे हैं लेकिन वो बहुत ही खतरनाक हैं। डरो मत, लगता है ये चूहे भी हमारे साथ होली खेलने आए हैं। अरे बचाओ रे चिंटू का मम्मी, ये चूहा मुझे घसीटते हुए ले जा रहा है। अरे मम्मी, चूहा तो पापा को घसीटते हुए ले गया लेकिन वो चूहा इतने बड़े और मोटे पापा को कैसे घसीटते हुए ले गया? अरे ये तो मुझे भी समझ में नहीं आया कि वो छोटा चूहा इतने बड़े चिंटू के पापा को कैसे घसीटते हुए ले गया। लगता है उस चूहे में भूत घुस गया है। अब पता नहीं वो चूहा तुम्हारे पापा के साथ क्या करेगा। अरे क्या कर रहे हो तुम सब, बचाओ ना मुझे। अरे कैसे बचाए, ये चूहे अभी भी यही हैं, हम बाहर नहीं आ सकते हैं। अरे चूहा तू मुझे कहाँ लेकर जा रहा है रे? छोड़ देना रे मुझे। ले गया रे। अरे मम्मी, हम कब तक इस हरे पानी में छुपे रहेंगे? मुझे तो अब बहुत ठंडी लगने लगी है। हाँ मम्मी, मुझे भी ठंडी लग रही है, जल्दी कुछ करो। ठीक है, जब मैं कहूँगी तो तुम सब एक साथ घर की ओर भागना। हाँ ये सही रहेगा, हम चूहों से तेज भागेंगे। भागो।
dissipated. And then, her stomach dropped. She noticed the logo on the folder. The same company where she had just submitted an application, praying for a chance, unaware of who truly held the keys. Her red scarf felt tighter, heavier around her neck. She traced the edges absent-mindedly, remembering the words she had whispered on the platform. Some people carry more than just bags. They carry silence. Now, seeing him here, the line echoed differently. It wasn't just about her past. It was about the weight he carried, the secrets tucked away behind composed eyes and polished leather shoes. The suitcase at her side felt suddenly inadequate, yet she refused to let go. Her fingers brushed the worn leather, and a sudden understanding struck her. The suitcase had belonged to his late daughter. The revelation landed like a stone in her chest. The frayed edges, the careful repairs, the way he had handled it before. Every detail had a story, a grief, a connection she hadn't expected. The object that had been her anchor in pain was now part of a larger, shared burden she couldn't ignore. She felt the pull of all her past choices and losses collide with this new knowledge. Every step she had taken, every decision to survive alone, every fight to prove herself, it all funneled to this room, this encounter, this impossible alignment. She could no longer retreat. There was no turning back. The train of hesitation she had ridden so far had left the station, leaving only forward momentum. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears as she approached the table. The stranger looked up, eyes catching hers, a flicker of recognition and something softer, deeper, unspoken. The rain outside tapped against the windows, a staccato drum of inevitability, and she realized the gravity of her next move. She inhaled sharply, the red scarf slipping from her collar, brushing the edge of the suitcase like a whisper of destiny. She stepped forward, crossing the line between observation and action, between fear and resolve. With each step, the weight of their intertwined past pressed closer. And then, she pushed the door open, letting the warm light of the cafe wash over her, knowing, fully, irrevocably, that everything was about to change. The platform was nearly empty now, the echoes of the morning crowd replaced by the soft drip of rain from the canopy above. She stood where she had first arrived weeks ago, suitcase at her feet, red scarf tangled around her fingers. Everything felt different, familiar yet shifted, like a reflection seen through cracked glass. He approached slowly, the same careful stride, the faint weight of his presence drawing her attention despite herself. His eyes didn't meet hers immediately. They skimmed over the suitcase, the scarf, the small pieces of her she had carried for so long. And then, finally, they lingered, holding a recognition that was not affection, but something harder, more complicated. She realized in that heartbeat that she reminded him of someone lost, someone he had loved and failed. "You kept it all this time," he said softly, nodding toward the suitcase. There was no judgment, only acknowledgement. "I never thought anyone would understand." She swallowed, feeling the lump in her throat. The suitcase, the frayed leather, the memories stitched into its seams. It was no longer just hers. She handed it to him with careful hands, letting the weight pass across the invisible line between their lives. It was a gift, a surrender, a bridge. He held it, eyes glimmering with something she couldn't name. And in that moment she understood. This wasn't about love. It was about recognition, about shared grief, about the need to see the parts of oneself reflected in another. And as the rain kissed her hair and dripped from her scarf, she felt an unfamiliar lightness, the relief of unburdening. Around them, the station remained quiet, the few lingering commuters unaware of the private storm passing between two people. A small child laughed in the distance, a dog barked somewhere beyond the tracks, and the ordinary world carried on, indifferent yet poignant. I don't know what comes next," she whispered, letting the scarf slip from her fingers. He picked it up, folding it carefully, the red now a symbol of endings and beginnings, not just pain. She stepped back, suitcase gone, scarf held by him, feeling a strange freedom in absence. The choice she had fought for, the plan she had carried like armor, had transformed into something softer: understanding, release, acceptance. She had given up what she clung to, not for him, but for herself. He nodded once, faintly, a gesture of mutual acknowledgement, not attachment. Then, without another word, he turned, carrying both the suitcase and the scarf. She watched him go, heart pounding, yet lighter than it had been in years. The rain slowed to mist, the platform bathed in the pale gold of late afternoon. She touched the edge of the railing, inhaled the wet air, and whispered to no one in particular. Not every stranger you help is meant to stay, but some leave you changed forever. And for the first time, she stepped forward without looking back, the echo of her own resilience guiding each deliberate footfall toward whatever waited beyond the tracks. The streets were quiet now, the clamor of the station long behind her. She walked alone, but there was a weight lifted from her shoulders she hadn't felt in years. Her steps were deliberate, each footfall a quiet assertion of presence, of survival, of reclaimed strength. The red scarf no longer tugged at her neck. It rested in the drawer of a small apartment she now called her own, folded neatly under a beam of sunlight filtering through the curtains. She paused at the window, watching rain-soaked leaves drift across the pavement, glistening like fragments of memory. Somewhere in the distance, a train hummed, carrying passengers whose lives would never intersect with hers, yet their journeys mirrored the small, invisible reckonings she had endured. The suitcase, long emptied of its burdens, sat quietly by the door, a relic of pain transformed into a testament of endurance. Her mind wandered to him, the stranger who had held her story without judgment, who had recognized her grief and mirrored it back with quiet gravity. She remembered her own words whispered on that platform. Some people carry more than just bags. They carry silence. Now, those words felt lighter, almost hopeful. Sometimes silence could speak louder than anger, louder than revenge. She thought of the small choices that had brought her here, every step of resilience, every decision to endure alone, every act of self-preservation. And she smiled softly, not at victory, but at recognition. Recognition that survival itself was a quiet kind of triumph, and that letting go could be as powerful as holding on. The apartment was simple, almost bare, yet it felt full of possibility. She opened the drawer where the scarf rested, running her fingers over its frayed edges one last time. Sometimes love is not romance. It's recognition, she whispered to the morning light, letting the words linger between her past and her present. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, carrying a faint echo of the station, of rain, of footsteps that once hesitated on platforms and sidewalks. She stepped back from the drawer, letting the memory rest where it belonged. Her reflection in the window looked different, calmer, stronger, untethered from the burdens that had shadowed her for so long. She walked forward, slow but determined, feeling the pulse of life in each quiet moment, in each choice made for herself. The world was unchanged, yet she moved through it differently, aware of fragility, aware of resilience, aware of what it meant to be transformed by experiences that refused to fade. And as the sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light on wet streets, she whispered to no one, yet felt the words echo everywhere. Not all storms pass to cleanse the earth. Some pass to remind us we can endure.